right, welcome everyone to the Member Journeys webinar. It is 11 a.m. sharp in Central Time. I'm here in Minnesota, so it is Central Time for me. Welcome everyone who is joining and in the chat, sharing where they're calling in from. We're happy to have you here. If you are new to the GrowthZone family, you can learn more about our member management software on our website, growthzone.com. You can request a personalized one-to-one demo or watch a video or tour if you're looking to see how our team can help your team save time and energy. We are recording today's webinar and we will send it by email within 24 hours after the session ends. And as live attendees, you'll receive a CAE certificate as well in that email. Now, I'd like to welcome our featured speaker, Britt Dalo with the Michigan West Coast Chamber of Commerce. One of the West Coast Chamber's core values is it's all about you. As the VP of Membership and Marketing, Britt utilizes this core value to its fullest extent. This involves recruiting and onboarding new members, engaging and connecting with existing members, and developing and maintaining partnerships to grow sponsorship revenue. Thanks for sharing your team's member and sponsor methods with us today, Britt. We're happy to have you here.
Amy, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to be here with everyone. It's so much fun seeing everything come to the chat and where everyone's coming and tuning in from today. We're all across the country, which is really, really fun. So thank you all for being here. And a big thanks to the GrowthZone team for having me on today. So you're already active in the chat, which is fantastic. Let's keep that rolling. Oh, I just saw Grand Rapids, Michigan. Hi, Priscilla. So I'd love for you to now shift gears from where you're from to, we're looking at one word here. So what is one word that describes how you would like your members or your clients to experience your organization? So let's just take a minute here and start coming up with some words. Efficient, included, positive, wowed, I like that one, fulfilled, valuable, family, connection, opportunities, inclusive. Oh, these are fantastic words. I would want to be a part of that organization. That sounds wonderful. Great. Feel free to keep those words coming as we go here, but we'll go ahead and jump forward. So as we're getting started here, a little bit about the West Coast Chamber. So we are located over on the west side of the state in Holland, Michigan. Our chamber has about 1,200 members. We have 7 on staff, just hired our 7th here recently. We are 5-star accredited, and for any of you that may be with chambers and know about that process, it can be a long one. So we are really proud to kind of have that badge and wear that honor, and we'll be going through that process again here in just another year. So proud to have that. And then we are also run on EOS. EOS is the Entrepreneurial Operating System, and it's really kind of how we do business. It's that one-page strategic plan, and it's accountabilities and core values. So some of those principles are really weaved through all of the work that we do. So you might hear some of that today. So as I mentioned, EOS is part of that based on core values. So as we look at journeys and how members experience our organization, our core values really come into play. And so many of you probably have your own core values, and I would really encourage you to use those as you think about the way that your members or clients experience your organization. So I'm just going to touch on ours really quickly. Amy mentioned in the beginning, it's all about you is one of my very favorite core values. Being in a membership position, that is core and central to the work that I do. So for our organization, it's all about you means that we are hyper focused on our members and their experience. We know that we don't exist without them. Next is contagious energy with a positive attitude. We want our members to feel that. We want it to be a tangible experience, that positivity when they interact with our organization. We want them to leave feeling better than they did before. And so that's with everything from a personal interaction to an email to an event that we're hosting. So that positive energy and attitude. Deliver remarkable experiences. We don't want to be average. We want to be remarkable. We want every experience to be remarkable. Learn, innovate, and share. We always want to be striving to be better. And so that learning process is really, really important to us. then learning not just to learn, but then to innovate, and not only to innovate and make things better, but to share. That's also part of why our team really loves to do things like this, right? If we've learned something, we want to go out and share it with people. And then I'd love your feedback. Maybe you've been doing things like this and have found other ways to do it. Let's continue to learn and innovate and share all together. And then finally, be a trailblazer. So this core value means we want to be setting the stage. We want to be doing big things, because we know that as a chamber, if we're doing big things and looking for the big things on the horizon, that our community and our members will feel that, and they'll succeed more because of that. So those are our core values. I just wanted to pause there and share briefly, because they're just really integral to the work that we do, and also into the development of journeys. Okay, so now quickly, I'd just like to hear a little bit about your team size. So who's in the room? What is your team size? Are we looking at, are you a one-person shop? Are you a team of 20? Awesome. Kind of all across the board. Fantastic. Great. Looks like we've got coverage from all different sizes of chambers, associations. Your organization has a lot of different size team members. So the good news is this kind of strategy and this process for looking at things with a journey mindset or mentality works for any size organization. It works great if you're the only person running the show, if you're that one-person shop, because you need to have that accountability and have things really outlined so that you can keep everything in order. It can be tough being a one-person show, right? But also, if you've got a large organization, 40, 50 plus, maybe more, how do you make sure that everyone stays in their lane, and also that people are communicating within the organization to know where things are landing with the member experience? So this process can work no matter what size your organization is, and that's the good news. So let's jump in. So what can you expect from today? First, I've been saying journey a lot. What the heck do I mean by a journey? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also share where we were and where we are now. Then we'll discover the power of the journey, really dive into it. And then we'll talk about driving with data. If you're not using data to drive the work that you're doing, how do you know if it's being successful? So that's a really key and important part to this process and to the work that we do at the West Coast Chamber. And then finally, we'll launch and you'll begin your very own journey. All right. So, and it will also be taking questions throughout. We'll save them for the end, but feel free to ask questions if you have them in the chat, and Amy will be keeping an eye on those. We'll be sure to wrap up with some time for questions at the very end. Okay. So what the heck is a journey? The journey mindset. So the definition of a journey, if you look it up in the dictionary, right? It's getting from point A to point B. You got a roadmap and you need to get somewhere. And that's an important part of this, right? That's the core processes and making sure that we know where we are and then what the end goal is and how we want members to kind of move through that process with us. But let's circle back to some of those words that you had in the beginning. That is a key important part. The journey is also, some might say, the philosophy, it's about how you get there, right? And so today we're going to talk a little bit about both. We need to be driving from point A to point B. We need core processes and checklists and how-tos to make sure that the work that needs to be done is getting done so that we have a clear and consistent kind of experience. But we also don't want to lose track of that experience component and those words that you were talking about, right? Welcoming, inclusive, remarkable, and positive. And then there's clear accountability. So journeys have clear accountability for who's going to own what in that process. At our organization, we say if everyone's accountable, no one's accountable. So we need to make sure that that is very clear. And then finally, it's driving positive results. So when I'm talking about journey, it's kind of encompassing all of these things, those core processes and driving results and creating accountability within your organization. So just to kind of set the stage for you a little bit, where we were. So I joined the West Coast Chamber on the membership team back in December of 2017. And I was walking in to be, there had not been someone in membership for just a short time, but I was walking into, and many of you might know this story, maybe some of you are still in this space. There were lots of binders, there were Word documents, and there were lots of paper trails. There wasn't much room for customization within that methodology, because if a paper landed on someone's desk, we kind of didn't know where things were landing, meaning that there wasn't a lot of accountability. So having those paper trails was kind of like, well, where do I even begin with all of this? So instead of diving into the binders and Word documents and paper trails, I took a peek at them, but I said, you know what? We need to start fresh and take this from a different angle. So that's exactly what we did. So where are we today? So we started, kind of took that first, almost year, 8 months or so, to just really digest and get to know the role and kind of what the goals would be in setting up kind of a really different process for our member engagement experience. So today we find ourselves with lots of core processes. We've got documentation for the how things need to be done. But there's automation in that. So it's not core processes that just live on a paper. It's creating automation within that and clear kind of accountability and consistency throughout. So with that, it creates the ability to be highly customized. So we're talking about making sure that, yes, there's a clear core process, but how do we make sure that there's a lot of customizable kind of one-on-one type interactions that are built into that process? There's also very clear accountability. Like I said before, you'll probably hear me say it a couple of times throughout this presentation. But if everyone is accountable, nobody is. So we need to know where that accountability lives. And so we've done a really good job of moving into that space in our organization. We're very system and database driven. So we migrated from Chamber Master over to GrowthZone a couple of years ago, and that has been just such a great transition for us. And it has really helped us to step up our game in this kind of journey process and creating clear accountability and creating automation within our processes. Also has created consistency because we know what needs to get done and when it needs to get done. And then it also, because we are so reliant on our system and everyone knows that we're utilizing GrowthZone, it's universally utilized because we all kind of use that as the hub, the one-stop shop for the work that needs to be done. Not going to lie, that it took a little time to get everyone to really buy into that whole process. But once we did, it made all of the difference in the world. So we put it to the test, and quite literally, we tested this. Didn't expect to test it the way that we needed to, but it happened this way. So in November of 2021, I went out on maternity leave, and so had a little baby boy. His name is Lake, and just over a year old now. But so I went on maternity leave, and this was when my team was like, okay, we know we've got the processes, we've got all of the things set up in place. We'll be able to do this, no problem. So we said, good, let's roll. Surprise, my coworker was also pregnant, and we were supposed to have a little bit of overlap in our maternity leaves, but she went out early, and she and baby are doing great. They're fine, all is well. But that left our team with no membership team. So they were running pretty lean and mean. They didn't have anyone in membership to keep that train moving. But because we had all of these core processes in place and we were utilizing our system really, really efficiently, we went through without a hiccup. And you can email them after this. Email Jody Ozarski or Colleen Skipsey and ask them about the experience and how things went. I'm not going to say it was like a super easy breeze, right? Capacity is definitely a constraint, but they knew what needed to get done, when it needed to get done, and they could prioritize their work because it was all in front of them. They didn't have to give us a call and say, what are we going to do about this? It was all right there in front of them. So moving forward, putting it to the test, let's talk a little bit about the power of the journey. Let's start with we're going to look at our new member journey. This is the journey that we've built out. It's the most robust. It's the one we started with, and we've really kind of launched from this new member journey. And so I'm going to use this one as an example today. So what we're looking at here first is really that core process outline. So it really starts in that core process stage. And so knowing what your touch points are and the work that needs to be done in that space. So laying it out from week 1 to month 1, month 2, all the way to the end of that first year. And looking at how you add personalized touches within that space. But without having this detailed here and knowing what work needs to be done, it can be hard to move into that next space. So for us, and many of you probably have this already, right? A core process or a journey that you follow, whether that's the new member journey or an existing journey for your member experience. But this is where I get excited. I kind of geek out over this, the database stuff and how we can make things more efficient. That last slide, that lives on a page, right? And that can be a hard thing to follow by just checking things off. And then where does the page go when someone else needs to take over? And how do you know when things are done? So where the magic really started to happen for us is when we started to utilize the system. We utilized GrowthZone looking at the project templates and started building this out. The beauty of this too is that you can start to build out the process and adjust and tweak as you go. Things are always changing, right? Or you have a great idea and you want to add something new in, a new touch point, or vary the way that you do something already. It makes it super simple to go in and make those adjustments live as you go. So for us, we started to lay out that written core process and journey into a project template to make it really highly visible for everyone and just really streamline the process as a whole. So you'll see things like, okay, what do we need to do? We need a welcome phone call, and there's some system setup that needs to happen. And we also utilize the marketing automation for a new member journey component. So that's another layer within this journey, is you've got kind of a journey within a journey, right? You've got your main core process happening with that member experience, but then you're also, we add them into an automated journey so they can get those extra touch points. For us, it's super important that we're building in custom touch points, and we get tasks to remind us to do some personalized outreach, but we rest assured knowing that they're also receiving automated touch points to be sure that they've got other information they can digest along the way. So for us, it really becomes that blend of the two. Easy, consistent process, but also adding customization for those personalized touch points. That's super helpful. Okay, so I'm going to drill down now into within that project template, looking at how we really set up these reminders and these tasks that then come up, because this also becomes really important where we want to keep things simple and we want it all to live in one place so we don't miss any parts of the process. So when we look at new member setup, for example, that's one of the tasks that'll come up and is assigned to one person on our staff. So we'll go in and this might look different for you, but for us, we need to confirm that the membership is activated. We're going to double check that there are no duplicate contacts. We are big on data cleanliness, right? We don't want our data to get so messy that we're doing all these overhaul projects to keep our data clean. So we try to do that up front. As people join, we want to make sure that we're merging any contacts so that we don't have duplicates. We make sure their directory listing is active and live and that it looks good before we send it over to them. We make sure we've established primary representatives and billing contacts. So this is that reminder to make sure that our system is set up correctly for this to run smoothly going forward. We also have a couple of things that we do internally. So we add the new member to our staff meeting agenda so that we can welcome them on LinkedIn. So we've got the easy link right there to that document that the entire staff has visibility to. So we add that new member right here and say, okay, we've got them added to the list. So at the next staff meeting, we'll welcome them on LinkedIn. We also add them to a new member photo schedule. So this goes directly over to our marketing coordinator, who then can see, oh, okay, this new member's in the queue. We're going to get a photo schedule to go out on social media. So this really serves as that reminder to get us moving in all the right directions and to incorporate the right people in that process. So then also kind of building out templates. I know I do this all the time. I go back to my sent email. I'm like, I know I've sent something like this recently to somebody. I just really need to copy and paste most of the components of that. So instead of doing that all of the time, we build that into this process. So for us within the new member journey, that example that we're looking at here, we've got a couple of templates that say, hey, if you've spoken with the business, you're going to say something kind of like this. If you have not spoken with them, maybe you'll say something like this. But you'll notice the note at the top says, personalize as needed. We build that in everywhere and even remind ourselves like, hey, this requires personalization. If we just copy paste this over, our members or clients are going to know that this is a cookie cutter response. So we have the framework built there so that it's nice and easy to grab that information, but we still make sure that we personalize accordingly and make sure that we don't miss that step. Again, coming back to those words that you put in at the beginning. If you just copy pasted this, we would not be creating that remarkable experience. But when you add the personalization, you ensure that you do. So for us, there are a few key steps and things that need to happen as part of the new member journey. This is where we store that information and make sure then that it gets checked off the list that each new member has received that info. Okay, so we looked at a new member journey, that new client experience as an example here. But for us, we didn't want to stop there. The new member journey is a critical one for us, and that's why we wanted to kind of share that information. But we're really applying this mentality to the way that we work. So we have journeys built out for our ambassador program, for the reminders that our ambassadors need before their meetings, for the follow-ups that take place. We build that journey into their experience, into our board of directors experience. We follow a similar process for collections to ensure that there's a clean, consistent experience and that we keep our collections coming in the door. And so that, again, our whole team knows where we're landing with that. We have a current member journey set up. We use this with our leadership program. We even build this mentality into our monthly magazine publication that goes out. We use it for, like I showed you, our new member journey. We use it for onboarding our staff members, having these core processes and checklists in place as we onboard new members. I love this. Recently, our program coordinator took this and just built out these beautiful and massive program journey core processes and the project templates so that we all have visibility and reminders to the pieces and elements that we all need to be a part of in our program experience. I'm telling you, our team is kind of geeking out and having a lot of fun with building these out. We use it as part of our prospect and sponsor journeys, and also even into our West Coast Cash program, which is a community currency program. So I only show you this to say, it's limitless. You can use this mindset and this process and these project templates to build out anything that you want to. Dream big and build this out for your organization in a way that makes sense so that you can streamline your processes and the way that your members and maybe even your onboarded staff members will experience your organization. Okay, so now I don't think any of this really matters if we're not driving positive results. So we are a highly data-driven organization. And so we use, this is again, part of that EOS entrepreneurial operating system that says, what gets measured gets done. And so we use scorecards on a corporate and departmental, and even with our ambassadors and our board. So we're tracking data all of the time, because if we're seeing a lot of red on our scorecard, we know we're off track, and that's okay, but then we need to adjust. And so within these journeys, we pick metrics to make sure that we're measuring things so that if we need to make adjustments along the way, we know when to do that, and we can problem solve and make that happen. So we're tracking things like our A and B member renewals. What I mean by A and B member renewals is we have a target market. And so we evaluate each of our members as being an A level, a B level, or a C level. Gosh, it sounds kind of harsh and it's not meant to be mean, but it's just saying who our ideal or target market is, and making sure that we're attracting the right people and keeping those A and B members on board. So we track what our A and B member renewals are, and our retention as a whole, but making sure that we're attracting the right people. We drive with data with our ambassador team and have a scorecard about how many new member referrals. I'm sure many of you do this, right? How many people are showing up to ribbon cuttings? And so we drive with data with our ambassador team. Same with our board of directors. We track things like our dollars to our budget so that we know if we've got the right amount of revenue coming in. We track our journey tasks, right? There's the nice little, I say nice because sometimes it's not so nice to me, but the red bubble tracking my tasks at the top of the GrowthZone software. And we track that to know that whether we need some help, right? Sometimes in these journeys, having it all live in one place within GrowthZone, I could look and say, oh gosh, you know what? My membership team might need a little bit of help. We're falling a little bit behind on some of this outreach. No problem. But having that visibility says, how can we help? And how can we get the team engaged then to make sure that we get our tasks and these journeys back on track? Like many of you, we track our new member sales, right? And so we might need to adjust our prospect journey if we're not seeing the new member sales that we hope to see and expect to see. We track our onboarding tasks. We're looking at things like our open invoices and collections, our outreach call completion. We have a ton of program metrics that we're tracking. We're looking at renewed members from the collections process. So once they've entered the collections process, how many of those members actually end up renewing? How many are we saving from that process? And then we track retention and sponsorship revenue. One of the things that really helped us to know and understand that this new journey mentality that we've taken on is working, is that after implementing these journeys back in September of 2020, this past fiscal year that just ended in August of 2022, we tracked, we completed the year at a 92.44 overall retention rate, which is the best that we've seen in years. And so it was just really exciting to see that this process is working. And so again, that's why it's so important to track the data, because then you know if you need to make adjustments at all. All right, so begin your journey. It is time, my friends, to begin to launch and to start looking at your own path and creating journeys. And maybe some of you are already doing some of this work, and maybe some of you haven't even begun. And that's okay. Wherever you are, it's about looking at core processes, right? Whether you have core processes and maybe they just need to be refreshed a little bit, or maybe you haven't built a lot of core processes. And that's a great place to start. And it's okay to just start with one. That's what we did. You know, we really looked at that new member journey, and maybe for you, you pick a certain path that makes sense for the work that you need to see done in your organization right now. But we picked that new member journey to start with and really, really built that out. And then from there, it launched us into this mindset of creating all of these core processes and continuing to build this out throughout our entire organization, from operations to accounting to membership to programs. Next is, once you have those core processes, it becomes easier then to establish clear accountability. So know who owns what, use the project templates to assign tasks to the right people, and that helps to create that clear accountability. With that accountability, it's also getting that buy-in to all be looking in the same place. And, you know, for us, we really started by looking at our staff meetings. We'd work through it together and look through the tasks and say, hey, is everyone getting this? And who's on track and who needs help? But that's really what helped us to start creating that accountability and then universally utilizing our system to work even more efficiently for us. And then develop the project and email templates, build it out. A lot of it exists. It's just a matter of getting it put into that centralized space within a project template to be able to use it easily. Next, customize. I think a lot of times it can be easy to fall into that cookie cutter process when you're looking at project management, because it's easy to just say plug and play. Here's what needs to be done. Check it off the list. We're all moving a million miles a minute, right? We have so many plates spinning at any given time, but it's so important to remember to customize. And that's why, like you saw, I quite literally write it in the project template. Don't forget to personalize this or personalize here. And so it's good in the hustle and bustle of everything that you remind yourself to customize and make sure that it is a unique experience for each of your members or clients. And then drive with data. Having that data is so important. And again, start by tracking just one or two things if that's where you need to start. Or if you're tracking a lot of things, you know, see what's working and what's not working, but make sure you're using that information to drive forward your actions so that you can be driving positive results that your organization will see the benefit from. So with that is a little bit about journeys and how we have utilized our project templates in GrowthZone and utilize this journey mindset to really change the way that our entire organization works. It's changed our individual work and our collective work as a whole by looking at it this way. So kind of to reiterate, the journey process can be from point A to point B. That is really what it's about. You've got to be driving in one direction and getting somewhere, but not to lose track of that customization and that experience in the process. So circling back to those words and really making things remarkable and inclusive and welcoming, and you know, any of those words there that are just so important to the way that your members or clients experience your organization on a day-to-day basis. So I've got some contact information up here. feel free to reach out if you have questions or if I can help at all. We also have a QR code listed there, and that will send you to, it's a hidden page on our website that we would like you to have access to, kind of a library of our work if you'd like to check that out. So thank you so much for joining today and for tuning in. It's been a ton of fun. And I'm not sure, Amy, if we had any questions or anything that we wanted to listen to here that I can help answer.
Sure. Thank you, Britt. You did a great job. That was very quick, very concise. We did have a great back channel conversation going on. The hive out there was helping each other answer questions, and if anyone missed something, they were filling them in. It was awesome. So
Great.
We did have a few questions come up. One of the things was, I believe they were speaking either of EOS or GrowthZone, but how did you get your whole team to be on board? She said some people get irritated when they feel like it's more work for them to learn a new system. And someone had commented, it just explains them how easy it is, how it's going to make their life easier. Can you talk about your transitions through those?
Yeah, absolutely.
Systems?
And it takes time, quite honestly. And I think it really comes from, I mean, like I said earlier, I geek out on some of this stuff. So I think sometimes it's just having that enthusiasm and giving people time to buy in and jump on and see what a difference it's making. And that's why sometimes even starting small, and really in the beginning of taking all of this, this process on, I just kind of owned it and started to see the results. And again, driving with data so that I had some numbers to prove to people like, hey, this is working, or look how easy this is. And look how we can build in consistency and clear accountability within this. And so it's getting that buy-in it's a process, and it takes some time, but I think, building in check-ins with your team and then having the excitement and enthusiasm about what good it can do for your organization is really what made the difference for us. So don't be discouraged, and no, it can take a little bit of time to get everyone to buy in. But if you keep moving on that track and people can see the positive results that you're driving, there's no way that they won't want to join in too.
There was a lot of chatter about your scorecards. Did you have examples you could share, or?
Yeah, yep. I'd be happy to share. We have both a corporate scorecard and our membership scorecard. I'd be happy to share, the data that we're tracking, those columns, so that people can see the kind of things that we're looking at currently.
Awesome. Candy had asked, can you explain your designations for membership A, B, and C, and how those journeys differ?
Yeah, absolutely. So our A, B, and C members, so we've identified a few things that really are part of our target market. So for us, and again, this might look different for different people, but an A member or target member is going to be located in the Holland Zealand area. For us, that's our core service area. Not saying we won't take members from anywhere else, right? We will definitely welcome you in, and you can be a part of our chamber. But when we're targeting and we're prospecting, we find that members are most successful when they're located here in our community. We also see that they're most successful with chamber membership when they are a growing business, right? There's someone that's aspirational and growing. They're an organization that values the impact of the chamber, and they understand, right? They have that understanding of for us what a chamber is and does. And then finally, they're willing to invest either with time, talent, or treasure. So we identified those key things. And then what we do is we rate members on that scale. And so if they're all of those things, they're an A member. If they're half of those things, they're a B member. And if they're only 1 or 0 of those things, then they're a C member. And again, organizations can move along that scale. It's not saying once you've been labeled, that's all you're ever going to be. But it helps us to put kind of a framework around our members so that we know how to best invest our time. We'll look at that from a prospecting perspective, from an outreach perspective, and even from collections, right? How much time are you going to spend chasing a C member when you could be investing more of your time and energy on an A member, or maybe a B member that could become an A member? And so, we thought about some of our best members and what that looks like to create that core target market. And then we use those ratings to help drive the work that we do and the time that we spend. So that has really helped to shape the way that our organization kind of moves forward and how we utilize our time.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Britt. As you can see on the screen here, if you're looking to see how marketing automation and project management tools can help grow your membership organization, request a one-to-one demo. Go to our homepage, growthzone.com, and you can either watch a product tour or request a one-to-one demo. And our solution is so robust, it will it makes your job easier. So we're happy to help, and we're happy to help support Britt and her team. Obviously, she's been happy with the GrowthZone solution, so hopefully you will check it out and see how we can help you too. I'll give everyone back about 20 minutes back in their day. Head to lunch if it's that time for you. Have a great day. Thank you again, Britt.
Thank you, Amy. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.